This is Booked for Drama, where stories burn, hearts break, the tea is always hot and never a part two. Today we're diving into 7 years of a lie. Let's go. The first person I saw after stepping off the plane at JFK was a ghost from a past I thought I had buried 7 years ago, my ex-fiancée's sister. She cornered me by the baggage claim, arms crossed. It's been 7 years, Alara. Don't you think it's time you apologize to my brother? Her brother, Julian Vance, was the man I had almost married. 7 years ago, at our engagement party, he shattered my world. In front of everyone we knew, he publicly called off our wedding, accusing me of carrying another man's child. He wished me a long and happy life with my supposed lover before taking his young assistant's hand and walking out, leaving me in ruins. But there had been no lover. There never was. The wound he carved into my soul was so deep that I fled New York that very night. And now his sister Jessica stood before me, suggesting I should crawl back and beg for a second chance. A dry laugh escaped my lips. Apologize? For what? My daughter is already in kindergarten. The time for reconciliation is long past. Jessica's perfectly made-up face froze in disbelief. What did you say? You're married? And a child? A 4-year-old? Her voice broke into a stuttered whisper, as though she couldn't process the words. I gave a curt nod, unwilling to be dragged back into the Vance family's drama. I tried to step around her, but she grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. You're joking, Alara. This has to be a joke. You would never marry someone else. You couldn't possibly give up on Julian. Her voice rose to a shrill pitch, drawing stares from fellow travelers. She leaned in, her tone dripping with venomous pity. Everyone in our circle knew you lived and breathed for him, his shadow. You threw away that incredible career opportunity, a job anyone would kill for him. How could you possibly marry another man? Her eyes widened with a sudden, crazed realization. And the child? She's not 4, she's 7. She has to be Julian's daughter. A familiar headache throbbed at my temples. She was twisting my past devotion into proof of her absurd theory. It was true, I had loved Julian. So much that everyone saw me as an extension of him, not as his partner. But that was a lifetime ago. Why would I lie to you? I asked flatly. And as for Julian's child, I took care of that 7 years ago. The implication lit a fire in her eyes. Her nails dug into my skin. Impossible. Tell me, who is your husband? Is he as handsome as Julian? As tall? I bet he's not even 6 feet. What does he do? Where does he work? Does he even clear 6 figures? Her questions came in like a current, each one a thinly veiled insult. I had no interest in wasting breath on someone so blinded by her cult-like devotion to her brother. Jessica, I said calmly, prying her fingers from my arm, this has nothing to do with you or your family, anymore. She refused to let go. Is that it, Alora? Did you marry some lesser man just to spite my brother? Do you even know what he's been through? He nearly destroyed himself looking for you. He runs Vance Corporation now. He's powerful, handsome, and rich. Women dream of being with him. And you, her voice trembled with outrage, you threw him away out of pride. By the end of her speech, she was practically glowing with triumph. As if no other man in the world could ever measure up. It's not too late to apologize, she sneered. Our family isn't completely unreasonable. Her audacity made me want to laugh, but all I felt was nausea. 7 years ago, I had stood on a stage in a pristine white dress, my hand outstretched, ready to begin my life. Instead, Julian took the microphone and shattered it. I gave you so many chances to be honest with me, Alara, but you kept lying. Lying about what? I whispered. He turned to the stunned crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, the wedding is off. It seems Ms. Hayes has found comfort in another man's arms. The child she carries is not mine. He hurled a stack of photographs at me. They scattered across the floor, intimate pictures of me in bed with a man I had never seen before. Gasps rippled through the guests. My parents' faces burned with shame, Julian's parents seethed with fury. Those aren't real, I pleaded, trembling. I don't even know that man. But Julian's eyes were cold steel. The Vances have a legacy to protect. I will not marry a woman with a divided heart and I certainly won't raise another man's bastard child. He turned, took his assistant Melissa's hand, and walked off. My parents slapped me and rushed after the Vances, leaving me alone amid 100 judging eyes. The day before I fled New York for good, Julian's mother requested a meeting. She sipped tea, her expression unreadable. Julian's behavior was in poor taste, she said. It should have been handled discreetly, not turned into a spectacle. And yes, we know the photos were doctored. Julian is naive. He was manipulated. We've taken him to task. Her tone sharpened like glass. But the damage is done. Julian is heir to Vance Corporation. He needs an unimpeachable partner. Someone worthy. Not you. She slid a bank card across the table. $3 million. Get rid of the baby. I stared at it. What does Julian think? A thin smile touched her lips. Did you see his assistant? Melissa Monroe, a Cambridge PhD. She will be Julian's wife. Our family has traditional values. We cannot have a daughter-in-law with your history. But I knew it was never about my history. It was about alliances, about power, even at the expense of their own grandchild. Jessica's angry voice yanked me from the memory. My brother is still obsessed with you. Just say you're sorry and you can have it all back. I looked at her, this woman lost in delusion, and felt only pity. No, thank you. I'm happy. I don't need your brother's forgiveness. I walked toward the taxi stand. You'll regret this, she shrieked. Without my brother, you're nothing. I didn't look back. Once, people thought I couldn't live without Julian Vance. But the world keeps spinning, with or without anyone in it. Soon, I arrived at the preschool across the street. I saw my daughter, Lily, laughing with her friends as they played jump rope. Her smile was pure sunshine. Warmth spread through me, and I started toward her. Suddenly, someone slammed me against a brick wall. Alara, I can't believe you'd stoop to such childish games just to get back at me. It was Julian, dressed in a tailored suit and possibly handsome, eyes burning with intensity. Seeing him after 7 years was dizzying. You ran off with my daughter, he snarled, and you have nothing to say for yourself? Mr. Vance, I said coldly, the child you're talking about is not yours. Enough. His composure cracked. Not only did you cheat on me, you took my mother's money and left me. And now you're making my daughter call another man daddy? Before I could respond, he lunged past me and snatched Lily. What are you doing? I screamed. He ignored me, crooning to my terrified daughter. Don't cry, sweetheart. Daddy's taking you home. You're not my daddy. I want mommy, Lily sobbed, struggling in his arms. Panic pierced my heart. Julian, give her back. I lunged, but he shoved me to the pavement. You ran away with my child. Why should I give her back to you now? Ignoring the pain, I scrambled up, but Jessica grabbed me. Her face twisted in contempt. I've seen your type before, Alara. Using a child to claw back into wealth. You're not taking Julian's child anywhere today. Julian reached for his car door, still holding Lily. He glanced back. If you want her, divorce that nobody. No daughter of mine will call another man father. In that instant, a black Rolls-Royce came out of nowhere, speeding straight toward Julian's car. My heart leapt into my throat. The black Rolls-Royce did not crash. It stopped on a dime, the tires kissing the curb with a short cry. The rear door opened at once. 2 security men stepped out with the kind of quiet speed that makes a crowd hold its breath. One moved between Julian and the car door. The other placed himself between Jessica and me. Their hands were open, palms visible, no weapons, only a calm authority that made bystanders step back. Then Aiden stepped out. He wore a simple charcoal suit and no tie, like he had left a meeting without caring who waited in the boardroom. He did not raise his voice. He did not swagger. He crossed the space to Julian and my screaming daughter with that level, controlled pace I knew so well, the one that said he had already made his decision and nothing would move him from it. Give me my child, Mr. Vance, Aiden said. Julian pulled Lily tighter, as if a man who had not seen her a single day of her life suddenly cared about her weight in his arms. Who are you to talk to me like that? He snapped. This is my daughter. No, I said. She is my daughter. Mine. Aiden did not look away from Julian. He simply lifted his left hand. The nearer guard took one step forward and held out an identification card. Private security, registered. A notice of temporary protective order was filed this morning, the guard said. The order was not magic, only paper, but it was the kind of paper that could put bars between a man and his impulses. Julian laughed, sharp and wild. A piece of paper. He bounced Lily once on his hip and she cried harder, choking on air. My chest tore at the sound. Aiden's eyes went colder than winter. You will let her go, Aiden said. Now. Julian's posture shifted. He wanted to bolt for his car. He wanted to push past the guard, buckle Lily into the leather seat, slam the door, and drive until state lines blurred into a single gray road. He did not get the chance. The second guard had already passed the notice to a police officer who had arrived on scene with 2 others, drawn by the shouting and by the wave of phones pointed in our direction. Sir, the officer said to Julian, you need to put the child down. Jessica recovered her voice faster than I expected. Officer, she said with righteous heat, that woman kidnapped my niece 7 years ago. We have been searching for her. My brother has a right to his own blood. The officer kept his eyes on Julian and Lily. Mom, we will sort it out. Sir, put the child down now. Julian glared at me. His face looked like the boy I had grown up with and nothing like him at all. The boy next door would have handed Lily to me, apologized. This man wanted to win. He wanted to make me pay for a story he had told himself too many nights in a row. Aiden stepped closer, slow and measured. He did not crowd Julian. He gave him a pat out. You will put my daughter down, he said. If you do it gently, we can all talk without handcuffs. Your daughter, Julian said, and the word scraped out of him like a dare. Prove it. I did not wait for permission. I moved around the guard, around the officer, and reached for my child. The moment my hands touched her, Lily's body knew me. Her arms shot out like a reflex. Mommy. It was not the polished cry she used when she wanted another bedtime story. It was raw. It was the sound I had heard the first time she was fever hot against my chest. It broke the last thin string of patience inside me. Julian hesitated for one more heartbeat. Then something in his eyes flashed. Maybe it was the police. Maybe it was the crowd. Maybe it was the quiet certainty in Aiden's stance. He shifted Lily toward me with a rough movement that still somehow managed not to hurt her, and I pulled her in and did not let go. The officer spoke again, his voice all firm training. Sir, step back. Hands where I can see them. Jessica started to shout about legacy and bloodlines and how dare we, but it washed over me like distant rain. Lily's sobs came in jagged waves against my shoulder. I rubbed her back and counted breaths. 1, 2, 3. In and out. I am here, I whispered. I am here. You are safe. Aiden stood between us and Julian now, a wall in a suit. He spoke in low tones to the officer while one guard collected witness statements and the other took the heat of Jessica's accusations without flinching. In minutes, the immediate crisis resolved the way crises often do in the real world. No handcuffs, no dramatic takedown, only an exchange of statements and cards, a warning about charges, a request to keep distance pending the review of the protective order. The officer looked Julian in the eye. If you try to remove the child again, you will be arrested. Do you understand? Julian swallowed his pride and nodded once. Jessica tugged his sleeve. You cannot walk away. She is stealing your life, she hissed. He shook her off. Aiden did not look at them again. He put his palm between my shoulder blades and guided me and Lily to the car. Get in, he said softly, I will handle the rest. Inside the rolls the air was cool and still, a small sanctuary with leather that smelled like a promise. Lily hiccuped and clung to me. I stroked her hair until the tremors slowed. The driver pulled away with a whisper of engine. Only then did the tears come, not wild, but steady, like a faucet turned to a thin stream. They were relief and fury and 7 years of learning to keep my back straight in a storm. Aiden slid in across from us and watched, not touching, not asking, eyes on my face like he was counting each tear and matching it with a vow. When I finally wiped my cheeks dry with the heel of my hand, he spoke. Are you hurt? Only my knee, I said. It is fine. Nothing about this is fine, he said. But you are here, and she is here. That is what matters. Lily sniffed and sat up, her little hands tugging at my hairline like she always did when she needed proof I was not going to vanish. Mommy, she whispered. The man scared me. I kissed her forehead. He cannot touch you again, I said. Not ever. Aiden nodded once, and there was a sharpness in his gaze that told me he would make that sentence true even if the earth had to tilt a few degrees to get there. At the hospital they checked Lily because that is what you do after a stranger's hands are on your child even if that stranger is a man who once swore to love you. She was physically fine. The attending gave us a list of signs to watch for in a soft lecture about trauma in small bodies. Aiden listened with the focus he gives to things he cannot buy. He asked smart questions. He booked a pediatric counselor before we reached the elevator. By the time we reached our apartment, the city had already started to hum with the story. A blurry clip of the confrontation had found its way to a gossip account. Man in suit claims child in front of school. The comments were a bonfire. We had tried to live a quiet life. Quiet does not always return the favor. Our home was not a penthouse with glass walls. It was a wide floor with sunlight that looked like heat on cold mornings, with a long table for Lily's craft projects and a kitchen big enough for the three of us to cook together on weekends. The faint scent of vanilla clung to the hall, the ghost of last night's muffins. I locked the door and leaned against it, and for a moment I wanted to slide to the floor and let the weight of the day press me flat. Aiden placed his hand on the door above my shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but it steadied me more than any speech. Let me call Theo and Harper, he said. Then I will make you tea. Theo was our attorney. Harper ran media strategy for Heart Group, and more than once she had managed to pry cruel stories off the internet with nothing but facts and a spine of steel. While Aiden spoke to them in the office, I sat with Lily on the couch and let the children's channel fill the room with gentle voices and soft colors. She curled into my side, half watching the screen, half guarding me with small, determined eyes that looked too much like mine. My phone buzzed again and again on the coffee table. I turned it over so the screen faced the wood. I kept my palm on Lily's back and let my mind reach backward, because forward thinking had to rest on firm ground. 7 years ago I left New York in the dark, a suitcase and a heartbeat and no plan beyond getting as far as I could from the van's name. The money from Julian's mother had sat on the cafe table between us like a dare. I did not take it. I left it there, a cold card with a number that could have bought me silence. I walked out with nothing but my dignity and the tiny life inside me. The choice that followed was mine alone and I had made it, and I would not explain it to a circle of strangers who thought they owed my body and my grief. I met Aiden a year later. Not in a fairy tale way. Not in slow motion under a sky full of stars. I met him because I needed a job and he needed an analyst who could read a failing company like a doctor reads a chart. He was not the ruthless tycoon gossip columns love to invent. He was exact. He was relentless with himself long before he was hard on anyone else. He saw how I built patterns out of noise, how I could take a ledger and hear the story it tried to hide, and he hired me on a 6-month contract with a salary that paid the rent and a clause that let me go whenever I needed. He did not ask why my hands shook when someone raised their voice in a meeting. He did not ask why I wore a plain band on a chain around my neck, not on my finger. He simply gave me work and a quiet place to do it. By the time he asked me to stay, I had rebuilt more than the Division 1 led. I had rebuilt the part of me that knew my own name when I woke up in the morning. When he asked me to dinner, it was not because he owned the company and thought my mouth should thank him. It was because I had made him laugh in a meeting that should have been a disaster. It was because he had watched me walk through a hard season with my head up. He did not say he would save me. He asked if I would let him stand with me. I said yes. Weeks turned into months. The band on the chain around my neck went into a wooden box in my closet. Lily came to us in the sunlight. Aiden held her the way he holds everything that matters, with a mix of awe and terror. He cried quietly. I did too. That is the picture I hold in my bones when I remember what love really is. Not fireworks. Not grand speeches. Love is a man learning the precise way to hold a baby so she can breathe easy after a long cry. Love is clean bottles lined like tiny soldiers on the counter at 2 in the morning. Love is the way Aiden would stand in the doorway and watch us sleep as if the air itself might slip unless he kept vigil. The office door opened. Aiden walked back in with that look he gets when the chessboard is set and he has decided to win without flipping the table. Theo was on his way, he said. Harper wants to time a statement with the filing. She thinks we should not feed the gossip. We should give the court the first bite. I nodded. Good. Aiden crouched in front of the couch so he was level with Lily. He kept his hands on his knees steady and easy to read. Hey, starfish, he said. How about pancakes for dinner? Lily's eyes brightened at once and then clouded, as if the good thing had to pass through a filter before it could be trusted. With chocolate chips, she asked. With chocolate chips, Aiden said, solemn as a vow. She looked at me. I gave her a small smile. She slid off the couch and padded toward the kitchen, the worst of her fear already softening into the promise of sugar. Aiden watched her go, then faced me again. We will file charges for attempted kidnapping and assault, he said. We will ask for a long-term protective order. Theo thinks we can get an emergency hearing this week. As for the video, Harper will push the platform to remove it as a violation of a minor's privacy. She will not win every battle. She will win enough. What about Julian? I asked. The custody threats. They talk about blood. He will not let this go. Good, Aiden said. Let him bring it to court. It is the only place I want him to bring it. You sound very sure. His mouth ticked. I'm sure because I have been preparing for this the way I prepare for every threat to the people I love. Quietly, for a long time, he stood and offered me his hand. I took it and felt the familiar press of his callus against my palm, the proof that he learned to do things himself even when he could pay other hands to do them. Come help me with pancakes, he said. Then we will go through what Theo needs. The evening folded itself into a ritual that has saved more marriages than therapy. We cooked. We measured. Lily's giggle returned, small at first, then fierce. We ate at the table, and Aiden pretended not to notice when chocolate smeared the corner of her mouth, because he likes to give her the joy of catching herself with the napkin. The city moved outside our windows like an animal we had learned how to live beside. When Lily slept, Aiden and I sat with Theo at the dining table. We went through chronology and evidence. The list looked clinical on paper. Security footage from the school gate. Witness statements from the officer and the crossing guard. The notice of the temporary protective order. Photos of the bruise forming on my knee where Julian pushed me. Digital forensics from 7 years ago already in a sealed file Theo had asked me to assemble when Aiden first raised the question in those early days. He had not pushed. He had asked, if you ever want to put this to bed, we will need proof. I had spent hours then gathering what I could bear to gather. Messages that showed the first weird cracks in Julian's story. Email headers from the anonymous account that sent the forged photos, later traced to an IP that did not belong to me. The quiet statement from the photolab technician who had slipped a note into an envelope after the scandal. A note that suggested someone had paid him cash to rush prints at an odd hour. The original dress receipt with a delivery timestamp that placed me on the opposite side of the city the night one of the fake pictures claimed to be taken. Theo tapped the stack. A judge will not decide paternity in a vacuum, he said. He will decide based on best interests and on evidence. This evidence paints a picture of a man easily manipulated by the people around him and prone to public cruelty. It creates a record that explains why you left. It protects Lily. Julian will demand a DNA test, I said. Theo nodded. He will. And you will decline. You are not his wife. Lily is not his child. He has no standing to demand anything, and his public behavior today will make a judge disinclined to indulge him. If he keeps pushing, we will request sanctions for harassment. If he escalates, we press charges. Aiden sat back and folded his hands. I had seen that posture across negotiation tables. It meant he had reached the part of the plan where patience was as lethal as speed. There is one more piece, he said to Theo. I want to bring it only if we must. Theo's brows rose. The file, Aiden confirmed. I looked between them. What file? Aiden exhaled and met my eyes. The first month we began seeing each other. I did a deep review on everyone who had hurt you, he said. Not to launch a war. To make sure I knew what ground we stood on. I found things I did not show you. I did not want to be the man who kept your past warm. But I have kept them sealed. If he drags you into the light, I will drag the truth with him. He slid a thin drive across the table. I did not open it. I did not need to. I believed he had done what he said. I believed he had done it out of care. Not control. But a thin coil of dread still moved under my ribs. If we use this, I said slowly, there is no going back. There is no going back anyway, Aiden said. There is only forward, and forward is ours. The buzzer sounded just before midnight. Harper stood in the hallway with a canvas tote and a look of grim delight. I brought drafts, she said, sweeping in. And soup. You two always forget to eat when you are in fight mode. She set a laptop on the table and opened a document. Proposed statement. Simple, factual, designed to deny oxygen to the rumor machine. The wording was clean. A man attempted to remove a child without consent. The authorities intervened. The family is pursuing legal remedies and requests privacy for the child. No names. No fire. Aiden read it and nodded. You made one edit. I added a line that mattered to me more than strategy. The child is safe at home. Harper glanced at me. Are you sure you want that line? It invites follow-up. I am sure, I said. Let them ask. That is the only answer I care about today. We scheduled the release for the morning, aligned with the filing. Theo sent emails. Harper drank half the soup herself because she never slows down long enough to use a spoon like a normal person. By 1, the apartment was quiet again. I stood at Lily's door and watched her breathe. Her eyelashes looked like small parentheses on her cheeks. Aiden came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. He did not say it would be all right. He did not lie to me. He said the one thing he always says when the road looks long. We will do the next right thing, he murmured. Then the next after that. By noon the next day the filing was public. I stayed home with Lily and colored pictures of cats with crowns while my phone trembled itself across the counter with calls I would not answer. Harper fielded the press. Theo spoke to the district attorney. Aiden handled the board with a 5-line email that said I am offline for family reasons and no other words. Even that was an act of war in some circles. It had the desired effect. Around 3, the doorman called. Miss Hayes, he said. There is a delivery. It is from Vance Corporation. Aiden and I shared a look. Send it up, Aiden said. The package was a single flat envelope. No note, no logo. Inside was a photo, one of the forged photos. The same stranger, the same bed, the same ankles my own mother had believed over my word. Except this print had something the others never had. A small strip of timecode in the margin, the kind that appears when a printer is set to debug. The kind that gives a precise date. The date was wrong, not wrong like a single number out of place. Wrong like impossible. It placed me at a location that had not existed at that time. The building in the background had broken ground 2 months later. Aiden and I stared at the strip. We did not need a handwriting expert. We did not need a confession. We had a timestamp that would unravel the lie like a loose thread. Why send it? I whispered. Because someone on the inside is scared, Aiden said. Or because someone wants to trade. Or because Julian finally started asking the questions he should have asked 7 years ago. My phone buzzed with a new message. An unknown number. No threats. No gloating. A single line. Meet me. I know who did it. I showed Aiden. He read the line 3 times, then looked up, eyes dark with calculation. We do not go alone, he said. We do not meet anywhere they choose. We pick the place. We record everything. And we assume it is a trap until it proves otherwise. My fingers curled into my palm, nails biting skin until the sting steadied me. 7 years I had carried the weight of a lie that was not mine. 7 years I had rebuilt a life brick by brick. I did not want to rip the past open. I wanted to leave it buried. But I also wanted Lily to grow up in a world where truth could win. Pick the place, I said. Then let us end this. The message burned in my pocket the entire night. I woke 3 times to check Lily's breathing, each time staring at the ceiling while the words pulsed in my mind. Meet me. I know who did it. At dawn, the city was still gray, its skyscrapers standing like watchtowers over a battlefield. Aiden was already awake, standing at the window in his shirt sleeves, shoulders tense. He had been on calls for hours, quiet conversations in clipped tones. When he turned, the look in his eyes was the same one I remembered from the day he closed a billion-dollar deal without raising his voice, steel-wrapped in patience. We will meet them, he said simply. Whoever sent that message could be dangerous, I whispered, careful not to wake Lily. They are dangerous, Aiden replied, his tone calm but edged. But danger is sometimes a sign of truth. They want to talk. That means they want something. We will control the ground, and we will not go alone. The meeting was set for noon, in a quiet wing of a library Aiden's company sponsored. Neutral ground, cameras everywhere, guards positioned discreetly. Theo would be present. Harper had already arranged to feed the press a different story, one that would keep eyes far away. When the hour came, I walked into the hushed room with Aiden beside me. The person waiting was not who I expected. It was Melissa Monroe. She wore a beige coat, her hair pulled back in a severe knot, but her eyes were restless, scanning every corner like a hunted animal. Alara, she breathed, as if saying my name cost her. I should have spoken years ago. I thought it would all go away. But it hasn't. Julian is unraveling. And if he finds out I'm here, I'm dead. Aiden's hand brushed the back of my arm, a small signal. Stay steady. You sent the photo, I said. She nodded. I kept a copy. I wasn't supposed to. The photos were fake. Everyone knew. At least, everyone inside the circle. His parents, the board. They wanted you gone. You were too quiet, too moral. They wanted someone they could mold. So they pushed him to believe you had betrayed him. Her voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw regret beneath her polished surface. They used me. I was bait. And I played my part because I was young and stupid and thought climbing the Vance ladder would make me powerful. Instead, it made me a prisoner. My pulse thundered. All those years, all those whispers behind my back, the broken friendships, the shame in my parents' eyes, it had been a manufactured story. Melissa looked down at her trembling hands. But the photos, I don't know who actually created them. I thought it was Julian's father. But recently I discovered something worse. It was Jessica. The name landed like glass shattering on tile. My sister. Julian's voice cut through the air before I could speak. He stood at the far end of the room, security trailing after him but careful not to act unless commanded. His eyes locked on Melissa first, then on me. Fury twisted his features. You dare, he said, his voice low and venomous. You dare drag my sister's name into your lies. Melissa shrank back. It's the truth. She hated Elara. She said no woman would ever be good enough for you except one chosen by your parents. She paid a man to stage the photos. I didn't believe her at first. But I found receipts, payments to a photographer, hidden transfers. Julian's jaw clenched so tightly I thought it might crack. He turned his glare on me. Do you see what you've done? You've poisoned everyone against my family. My father is dead, my mother barely speaks, and now you bring the circus into my life again. I stood. My hands shook, but my voice came steady. I didn't bring this, Julian. You did, when you chose to believe lies instead of me. You threw me away. You threw our history away. And you did it in front of 100 witnesses. He flinched as if struck. You could have told me. I said, the ache of old wounds tearing fresh. You could have asked me to my face. Instead, you humiliated me. You left me bleeding with nothing but my dignity. And now you dare to drag my daughter into your madness. She is my daughter, he snapped. She is not. The words ripped from me before I could stop them. She is mine, and you will never touch her again. For the first time, Julian's mask cracked. His shoulders slumped and something hollow filled his eyes. Aiden moved beside me, his presence like a shield. Theo stepped forward with a folder. Mr. Vance, he said coolly, we have the evidence. The doctored photos, the payments traced to your sister, the testimony you just heard. If you continue your claim, it will destroy you publicly and legally. Julian's gaze darted from me to Aiden, then back. So this is it? You think you've won? There was never a game. I said softly. There was only the truth. And the truth is, you lost me long ago. Melissa's voice broke the silence. Julian, I'm sorry. I can't live with it anymore. He looked at her with pure betrayal. Then he turned on his heel and stormed out, security trailing behind. The room exhaled with his absence. I sat down, the weight of 7 years pressing on me until I could barely breathe. Aiden knelt in front of me, his hands warm on mine. "It's over," he whispered. But I knew better. It wasn't over, not completely. Scars never vanish. They only remind us where we've been. 2 weeks later, the court granted a permanent protective order. Julian did not contest it. Jessica disappeared from social media. Her name whispered in half-truths among the wealthy circles that once adored her. Melissa resigned from Vance Corporation and for reasons I may never understand, sent me an apology letter handwritten on ivory paper. I did not reply. The gossip cycle moved on to fresher scandals. The world forgot my name. I was grateful. One evening, I stood in the kitchen stirring soup while Lily hummed a tune she learned in school. Aiden came in, sleeves rolled, tie abandoned, and kissed the top of my head. "Board approved the expansion," he said, almost absently. "But that's not the important part." I looked up. "Then what is?" He smiled, the quiet smile that never belonged to the tycoon, only to the man who built forts out of pillows with Lily on weekends. "The important part is that you are safe. That she is safe. And that tomorrow, we wake up and choose this life again." Tears filled my eyes, not from pain but from release. 7 years ago, I had been left on a stage in a white dress, abandoned in front of everyone I knew. Today, I stood in my own kitchen, barefoot, loved, and free. Lily ran to me, her small arms wrapping tight around my waist. "Mommy, can we bake cookies after dinner?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said, my voice steady now. "We can bake all the cookies you want." And in that moment, with Aiden's hand covering mine and Lily's laughter filling the air, I knew. The past no longer owned me. I had built a new life from ruins. And this time no one could take it away. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, secondhand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.